So welcome to Kirk History Bits Part 3. We're looking out into the Fitzroy entrance right now. So just to orient you as to where the next window is. So it's up here. It's a little hard to see in the sunlight today, but that is St. Andrew, patron saint of Scotland and also a fisherman. If you'll remember, Andrew was one of the first disciples called by Jesus. He was working in his fishing boat alongside his brother when Jesus calls to them. And in this, you'll see that Andrew is holding something that is crossed in his hands there. That's known as a saltire. So when he was ordered crucified by the ruling leaders at the time, he refused to be crucified on a cross, the same as Jesus was, because he did not feel he was worthy of that same death. So, as legend has it, he was crucified on something that looked like an X, a saltire, as they're known. And I believe that's also came to be later what the cross on the Scottish flag came from, that white cross. So now we're going to come around. We're not going to do the big windows today above our sanctuary. They're larger. We're going to come back to them later. We're going to do the smaller windows. So we're coming up here in the sunshine. This next window is Jesus, and it's just called the Our Lord window, and he's holding the chalice of Holy Communion. So you can see him standing there. That crown denoting his lordship and the halo behind his head. So that's one of the first pieces of stained glass over our altar here. And then alongside of him, we have St. James, who we are named after. So a few things about St. James. He is holding the pilgrim staff. And it's a walking stick used by pilgrims on the way of St. James to the shrine of Santiago de Compostela in Spain. So he's holding that up on his hat. It's hard to see in the light today. There's a clamshell. It signifies, I believe that of apostleship. So up on his hat that he's wearing, he's holding the Holy Scriptures. He's got that walking stick. So we have St. James. So then we have our organ back here, and we're going to swing around. We're going to come back down. So our next window is interesting. It's actually escaped my notice in all the years I've been here. Again, it's kind of hard to see. That is St. Nicholas up there behind that spectacular cobweb that we can't reach. So St. Nicholas is exactly who you'd think he is. He was the bishop, and he is the patron saint of Aberdeen in Scotland, but also of sailors, merchants, archers, repentant thieves, prostitutes, children, among others. And so because of the miracles it's said that he's performed and been caused by him, he's also known as Nicholas the Wonder Worker. And his history of secret gift giving is kind of what our modern day Santa Claus is modeled on. And I believe what he's holding is the staff of the bishop, as he was a bishop. And then below St. Nicholas, quite appropriately, we have what's called the Hope window. So you'll see there that sash that she's wearing says Hope. It was given in loving memory of Hope, beloved wife of J.R. Burnett. I think it's very appropriate to have a Hope window in every church. Swinging around here now, we have someone who might not be as well known, St. Kentigern. You may know him by another name, which is St. Mungo. So we have him standing here. Now, there's kind of 4 miracles attributed to him, and they come with a little saying. It goes, "Here's the bird that never flew. Here's the tree that never grew. Here is the bell that never rang. Here is the fish that never swam." Now, it's said that St. Kentigern, one of the the miracles is said to have been: a queen was accused by the king of infidelity. He demanded that she produce her wedding ring, and she couldn't. He accused her of having given it to her lover. The reality is he had thrown it in the River Clyde. So it's said that St. Kentigern ordered that a man catch a fish in the river, and when they cut it open, they found the ring inside. So that's just one of the stories that's associated with St. Kentigern, also known as St. Mungo. He's the patron saint of Glasgow. And it's not uncommon for St. Kentigern to have either a robin on his shoulder or a fish with a ring in its mouth or different things like that. In this case, we don't. We have the cross, but that is who that is. And then right next to him, we have St. Margaret. Now, St. Margaret was known for her piety. So you see there, she's holding her rosary. She's got a copy of the scriptures. She's got a halo kind of denoting her piety. And up at the top here, kind of above her head, under the St. Margaret, you'll see that there's an image of Edinburgh Castle, center of St. Margaret's great work in the restoration and extension of the Church of Scotland. So she's known for her care for the poor and the outcast. And she was just a wonderful person who worked among people. So the last piece of stained glass we'll cover for the morning, we're going to come down the aisle here to a window that's always caught my eye. It's a window with a sad story. So here we have a picture of Jesus calming the storm. So you see the disciples are in the boat and Jesus there calming the storm. And this window was placed in memory of it's called the Aubrey Blanchard Memorial Window. And it's in honor of a young engineer who was in Montreal and drowned in the St. Lawrence River in 1905. So down there, that writing, it's hard to pick up right now, but it just talks about him and this window being in memory of him. And I think what's always caught my attention with this window is the idea that, this family in their deep grief and loss chose this picture to represent what they were feeling, and the idea that in the midst of all of life's craziness and storms, Jesus is there with us and that we're not alone. And maybe that is a good image to leave us on today as we grapple with what happened in Nova Scotia and as we think about all the families whose lives have been changed. We remember that Jesus stays with us in the storm and will never let us go. So thanks for tuning in for another Kirk History Tidbits, and we'll see you next week.